that she got to in the woods, this was a whole different scene than I was expecting.
Evidence is noted and tagged. Then, a few feet from the remains, they find a pair of sunglasses.
It was very, I don't know how I went with this. It was very disturbing to see the pair of sunglasses because there was a bullet hole through one of the lenses. It's difficult to determine how many times she was shot because the only thing that remained were her skeletal remains. But we don't know if that was the first shot, second, third. So that was very disturbing to see that.
3 days later, the remains are positively identified as Dorothy Murphy's. Even though they never find bullets or casings, damage to her bones proves she died from gunshot wounds.
The phone call came in from Detective Braun, and at that point, I had a complete meltdown. It was the end of a long 3 months, and it was a relief to know that they had found her, but it didn't make it any easier to know that your loved one had been kidnapped, killed.
Investigators are more convinced than ever that Kimberly Morgan killed Dorothy Murphy. They believe she wanted her ex-girlfriend Sarah back. Dorothy's car was a way for her to eliminate Aaron Williams without getting caught.
Here was a totally innocent person going about their daily life who had no ill will against anybody, and she was killed in cold blood.
They've got Morgan locked up, but all they have is circumstantial evidence that ties her to the murder.
Without physical evidence connecting a person to a crime scene, it makes it difficult to convict them unless you can get a confession.
Morning, Caleb. I'm Mark Schneider.
The image I got was that she was smart, she was calculating. I felt that she had deliberately planned to inflict serious emotional harm onto a former lover through killing her fiance, and I needed to be prepared.
What are you talking about? It had nothing to do with Mrs. Murphy's disappearance.
Flint, Michigan, detectives are finally ready to confront Kimberly Morgan, their number one suspect in the murder of 80-year-old Dorothy Murphy.
I was a young detective back then. I had actually never came face to face with a psychopath before. So all this stuff is going through my mind. And I just couldn't imagine that somebody could just kill like that. You know, you see TV shows and stuff like that, but you don't expect it to come into your life like that.
There's a lot riding on the interview. They have only limited evidence. To put Morgan away for good, they need her to confess.
What do you think I should know about you?
What would you like to know?
She really wasn't cooperating with us in the question. She wanted to ask more questions and to answer questions.
I guess I'm not going to be your own. It isn't whether you were there or you weren't there.
I was there.
She was trying to find out what we knew. We had to shut that down pretty early on and make it known that we were there to interview her, not her us.
And how did you have her car?
I did not have Miss Murphy's car.
You didn't.
No, I did not.
And why did you send it?
I did not have her car.
You were never in her car.
Never in her car.
Investigators know something Kimberly Morgan doesn't. Once she was fingered as the killer, they went back to Mrs. Murphy's car to see if there was any trace of Morgan there.
I had a couple screens from my garage, so we went out there and re-sifted the items in Dorothy's vehicle. And was in the debris that was in Dorothy's vehicle.
The investigators contacted Dorothy Murphy's family and determined that this was not a type of lotion that she would use. So we knew that it most likely belonged to the suspect. As anyone knows, when someone uses a hand cream, there's usually a little bit left, and the majority will swipe that edge along their hand to get that last little bit off before they put the cap on. Well, when they do that, they scrape off skin cells.
But the chance of any skin cells surviving the inferno are slim.
You got to picture this tube with this cream in there as a liquid. Where the liquid was, it acted as a cooling agent, and when the fire was put out, it was still intact.
Incredibly, technicians are able to pull a minuscule amount of DNA from the rim of the charred tube of lotion.
We had one shot to do it with, because if for any reason that there's a failure in the testing cycle, your only sample is gone.
2003, DNA testing doesn't happen quickly. But after 3 long months, results finally come in.
We got a positive hit for Kim Morgan's DNA.
Your name is right there. Kimberly Morgan. Kimberly Antoinette Morgan. Your DNA was left in the car. You dropped something, maybe by accident or whatever, but the fire didn't consume. And the forensics we have today. There it is, black and white, Kim Morgan. Right there, Kim. Right there, from that burnt car. You know you walked away from that car, from this little old lady's car. And you know what we did, Kim? You want to know what we did? We went in with a toothbrush and we cleaned every speck out of that car. Stuff up in the car. It's back to you.
You could feel the air go out of her.
You can't deny it, Kim. What you can tell us is what went wrong that day.
All of a sudden, she just sets up and then just starts confessing. Like she's telling you what her day was Saturday.
Where did you pick her up?
Because of the store.
You remember which store?
I was Walgreens. And she was getting in the car. And I said, I want your car. And she looked at me and she got the car and she cooperated and everything.
Over the course of 2 interviews, Kimberly Morgan admits that Dorothy was just a casualty of her obsession with Sarah Jones.
And I don't know why I still have feelings for him because normally I wouldn't.
The trigger behind the deadly assault was the news of Sarah's engagement to Aaron Williams.
I didn't believe it. And I wanted to talk to her. And I've been trying to talk to her. She kept hanging up.
She told us how she had finally made up her mind that she was going to remove Aaron Williams from Sarah Jones' life.
I felt like the way she did it was wrong.
Morgan bought a black market gun in Tennessee, and on July 1st, drove the 9 hours to Flint, Michigan.
She had dressed herself in a oversized jersey, had her hair cut to resemble a man's.
She intended to use her new look as a disguise. Wanted to make sure her car wasn't traceable either. That's when she spotted Dorothy in a drugstore parking lot.
She tells us that she abducts Dorothy Murphy when she comes out at knife point.
I drove around. My mind was going crazy as to what I was going to do.
She then takes Dorothy Murphy to the cul-de-sac because at one time she had lived in the apartment complex just directly east from there, so she knew that that cul-de-sac was there and would hide her activity. Dorothy is trying to get her to just leave her there and go take the car and leave. When it becomes evident that she is not going to let Dorothy go, Dorothy tells her,
Grief.
God,
accident about that. There's no accident about that, sorry.
Then Morgan drives to Flint and waits for Aaron Williams to walk by on his way home from work. At 5:05 p.m., he plays right into her master plan when he asks if she needs help.
You remember getting hit, what did you do then?
Well, then I didn't know what to do, and I got in the car.
The Dorothy Murphy case is right up there with 2 or 3 that will always be with me for the rest of my life. It is the case